Welcome my YouTube channel Story Time. One chance encounter in a grocery store, a struggling single mother, and a Hollywood star who couldn't look away. What started as a simple act of kindness turned into a life-changing journey for both. This is the story of how Keanu Reeves changed a mother and daughter's life forever. Please like, subscribe and share if you like this story. Support me all guys. It was a quiet evening in Los Angeles, and Keanu Reeves, known for his humble nature despite his fame, had just finished a long day on set. Seeking solace from the chaos of the world, he decided to visit a small, tucked-away cafe. With his usual coffee in hand, he stepped out into the cool evening air, intending to stroll for a while before heading home. As he crossed the street, a small convenience store caught his attention. Through the glass window, he saw a young woman, no older than her early 20s, standing at the counter. Her thin, tired frame and downcast eyes immediately stood out to him. She clutched a pack of diapers and a few basic groceries while nervously counting the coins in her hand. Keanu stopped in his tracks, watching from the shadows. The woman's clothes were clean but worn, and the desperation in her demeanor was impossible to ignore. When she finally managed to pay, she offered the cashier a faint, apologetic smile before quickly gathering her things and leaving. Keanu's chest tightened as he watched her disappear down the street. The scene struck a deep chord within him, stirring memories of his own struggles growing up. He knew all too well what it meant to battle life's storms alone, and the sight of someone fighting a similar battle was something he couldn't simply walk away from. Against his usual instincts, Keanu decided to follow her. Keeping a safe distance, he trailed her as she walked through dimly lit streets, clutching her grocery bag tightly. She eventually stopped at a rundown apartment building, its exterior crumbling and paint peeling. From the shadows, Keanu watched as the young woman climbed the stairs to her unit. The door she entered was barely holding together, a clear indication of the life she was living. He stood there for a long moment, torn between respecting her privacy and his growing urge to help. Returning home that night, Keanu couldn't shake the image of the woman from his mind. Questions plagued him: who was she? What circumstances had led her to this place? And most importantly, was there something he could do to help? The next morning, still unable to let go of the encounter, Keanu returned to the apartment building. This time, he carried no pretense of anonymity. Dressed in simple clothes and wearing a baseball cap to avoid attention, he knocked on the door he had seen the woman enter the night before. When she opened the door, her initial reaction was suspicion. Her tired eyes scanned him, and for a brief moment, Keanu wondered if she recognized him. But her expression remained blank, and she hesitantly asked who he was. "I'm Keanu," he said softly, avoiding his full name. "I was just passing by yesterday and thought I'd check in. You seemed like you could use a neighbor to talk to." Her defenses remained up, but something in Keanu's genuine tone made her step aside and let him in. The apartment was as bleak inside as it appeared from the outside. The walls were bare, the furniture minimal. In the corner of the small living room stood a crib with a sleeping baby, no older than 6 months. The young woman, whose name was Lily, kept her answers short and guarded at first. But as the conversation flowed, Keanu learned small fragments of her story. She was a single mother, struggling to provide for her daughter, Emma. Her husband had died in a car accident just weeks before Emma was born, leaving her with mounting debts and no family to rely on. Keanu listened intently, his heart breaking with every word. Lily's resilience and quiet strength reminded him of his late mother, who had also faced insurmountable challenges to raise him and his sister. He offered to help, but Lily politely declined, insisting that she didn't want charity. When Keanu left that day, he felt a mix of admiration and sorrow. He knew he couldn't simply walk away from Lily and Emma's lives, but he also didn't want to overstep. For the first time in years, he found himself driven not by scripts or cameras but by a real-life story unfolding before him, one he felt destined to be part of. Keanu couldn't get Lily and her baby, Emma, out of his mind. The haunting image of her weary face and the sparse apartment lingered as he went about his day. For someone used to the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, the rawness of her struggle was humbling and deeply personal. He knew he had to do something to help, but Lily's quiet dignity made it clear that charity wasn't what she needed. Over the next few days, Keanu found excuses to return to the apartment building. He pretended to be fixing his car in the nearby lot or walking through the neighborhood. Each time, he hoped to catch a glimpse of Lily and Emma. It wasn't long before he noticed her coming and going, always carrying heavy grocery bags or a tired expression. One evening, Keanu spotted her outside the building, struggling to carry a broken stroller up the steps. He quickly approached, offering a hand before she could protest. "You again?" Lily said, her tone a mix of surprise and exasperation. Keanu smiled sheepishly. "I guess I'm becoming a regular around here." Though hesitant, Lily allowed him to help. As they reached her apartment, Emma stirred awake in the crib, letting out a soft cry. Lily rushed to comfort her, and Keanu stood awkwardly by the door, unsure of his place in their world. "You can come in," Lily said after a moment, cradling Emma in her arms. "It's not much, but, thank you for helping with the stroller." Keanu stepped inside, his heart aching at the sight of the tiny space that Lily and Emma called home. The walls were cracked, the furniture sparse. Yet, everything was meticulously clean and organized, a testament to Lily's determination to provide a safe environment for her daughter. As they talked, Keanu learned more about Lily's life. She worked 2 jobs, one as a waitress in a diner and another as a cashier in a small store. Her days were long, and her nights were often sleepless, caring for Emma. Despite the exhaustion etched into her face, there was a quiet strength about her. "I don't have time to feel sorry for myself," Lily said, her voice firm but tired. "Emma needs me to keep going, so I do." Keanu was deeply moved. He remembered his own mother, who had worked tirelessly to raise him and his sister after their father left. The sacrifices she made, the exhaustion she endured, it was all mirrored in Lily's story. Before leaving, Keanu couldn't resist offering something. "If you ever need anything, Lily, just let me know." "I mean it." Lily hesitated, her pride warring with her gratitude. "Thank you, but we're fine. I'm managing." Keanu nodded, not wanting to push her boundaries. But as he walked away, he knew that managing wasn't enough. Lily deserved more, so did Emma. Determined to help in a way that wouldn't undermine Lily's independence, Keanu began leaving small, thoughtful gifts outside her door. A bag of groceries one day, a box of diapers the next. Each time, he made sure to stay anonymous, not wanting Lily to feel uncomfortable. One day, Lily found a carefully wrapped package containing a set of baby clothes and a soft blanket for Emma. Attached was a simple note. Asterisk for Emma. "Keep being the amazing mom you are, asterisk." Lily stared at the note for a long moment, her eyes welling up with tears. She had no idea who was behind these gestures, but the kindness touched her deeply. In a world that often felt cold and unforgiving, someone had noticed her struggle and cared enough to help. A week later, Keanu decided to visit Lily again, this time with a more direct approach. When she opened the door, Emma was in her arms, her tiny face breaking into a smile as she saw him. "She likes you," Lily said with a soft laugh, a rare moment of lightness. "I like her too," Keanu replied, his own smile spreading. As the evening unfolded, Keanu found himself playing with Emma while Lily prepared a simple meal. It was the first time he had seen her relax, even if only for a few moments. Over dinner, Lily opened up more than she ever had before. She talked about her dreams of becoming a teacher, how she had to drop out of college when she got pregnant, and how her husband's sudden death had left her overwhelmed and alone. "I keep telling myself it'll get better," she said, her voice trembling. "But some days, I don't know how much more I can handle." Keanu's chest tightened at her words. He wanted to tell her everything, that he understood her pain, that he'd faced his own share of loss and loneliness. But he held back, afraid of burdening her with his story when hers was so much more immediate. Instead, he said, "You're stronger than you think, Lily. And you're not alone, not anymore." Lily looked at him, her eyes searching his face for sincerity. Whatever she saw there seemed to reassure her because she nodded, her lips curving into a faint but genuine smile. For the first time in years, Keanu felt a sense of purpose that went beyond himself. Helping Lily and Emma wasn't about pity, it was about connection, about finding hope in each other's broken pieces. Over the next few weeks, Keanu became a steady presence in Lily and Emma's lives. At first, Lily was wary of his intentions. After all, in her world, help often came with strings attached. But Keanu's kindness was different. He never pushed her boundaries and never made her feel small for accepting his help. Slowly, the walls she had built around herself began to crumble. One evening, Keanu arrived unannounced with a bag of groceries. Lily opened the door, her face a mix of surprise and amusement. "You're persistent, aren't you?" she said, leaning against the doorframe. "Just trying to make sure you don't run out of ice cream," Keanu quipped, holding up a tub of her favorite flavor. Lily laughed, a sound Keanu realized he hadn't heard nearly enough. She let him in, and as Emma babbled happily in her crib, the three of them shared a quiet dinner. As their friendship grew, Keanu began to see just how much Lily carried on her shoulders. Her days started before dawn, juggling Emma's care and two demanding jobs. Nights were spent either comforting a teething baby or collapsing into bed, only to do it all over again the next day. Despite her exhaustion, Lily refused to give up on her dreams. On her rare days off, she would study old textbooks, determined to finish her degree one day. Keanu admired her resilience, but he also worried about how much longer she could keep going without breaking. One night, as they sat together in the cramped living room, Lily opened up about her past. "My husband, Mark, was my everything," she said, her voice soft but steady. "We were high school sweethearts. When I found out I was pregnant, he was so excited. He couldn't wait to be a dad." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears as she continued, "But then the accident happened. He was on his way home from work, and, just like that, he was gone. I didn't even get to say goodbye." Keanu reached out, gently placing a hand on hers. "I'm so sorry, Lily. No one should have to go through that." She nodded, her gaze distant. "It's been hard, but I have Emma. She's the reason I keep going." Keanu saw the depth of her love for her daughter, but he also saw the toll it had taken on her. He wanted to ease her burden, to remind her that she didn't have to face everything alone. One evening, as they sat on a park bench watching Emma toddle on the grass, Lily turned to Keanu with a curious look. "You're always so kind and understanding," she said. "But what about you? You never talk about your life." Keanu hesitated. His fame was a part of his identity, but it wasn't something he wanted to lead with. Yet, he realized that if he wanted Lily to trust him fully, he needed to share his own truths. "I've been through some hard times too," he began, his voice quiet. "I lost my dad when I was young, and my mom worked tirelessly to raise me and my sister. Later, I lost my best friend, and someone I loved deeply." Lily listened intently, her expression softening. "I'm sorry. That must have been so painful." Keanu nodded, his gaze fixed on Emma. "It was. But I've learned that loss doesn't have to define us. It can teach us to appreciate what we still have, to find meaning in the connections we make." For the first time, Lily saw the cracks in Keanu's calm exterior. She realized that beneath his kindness was a man who had faced his own share of heartbreak. It made his presence in her life feel even more meaningful. One Saturday morning, Keanu surprised Lily by showing up with a set of new books and a laptop. "What's this?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with disbelief. "I heard you talking about finishing your degree," Keanu said with a smile. "These might help." Lily's hands trembled as she picked up the laptop. Keanu, this is too much. I can't accept this. You're not accepting it for yourself, Keanu replied. You're accepting it for Emma. For the future you're building for her. Tears welled up in Lily's eyes. For so long, she had been fighting alone, afraid to rely on anyone. But in that moment, she realized that accepting help wasn't a sign of weakness, it was a step toward healing. Thank you, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Keanu nodded, his heart swelling with a mix of joy and relief. He had seen the spark of hope in Lily's eyes, and he knew that this was just the beginning of her journey toward reclaiming her dreams. As the days turned into weeks, Keanu became more than just a friend to Lily and Emma. He was a source of stability, a reminder that kindness could change lives. And in return, Lily and Emma brought a sense of purpose and connection into his world that he hadn't felt in years. Keanu's support had begun to bring subtle but meaningful changes to Lily's life. The books and laptop he'd given her weren't just tools for learning, they were symbols of hope, of a future she had nearly stopped believing in. Still, Lily struggled with the deep-rooted habit of doing everything on her own. Accepting help, even from someone as kind as Keanu, wasn't easy. One day, as Keanu arrived at her apartment, he found Lily in the middle of a frantic scene. Emma was crying uncontrollably, and Lily was pacing the room with dark circles under her eyes. Is everything okay? Keanu asked, stepping in cautiously. Lily shook her head, her voice trembling. Emma's been running a fever all night. I don't know what to do. I've tried everything, but it's not going down. Keanu's heart sank at the sight of her panic. Without a second thought, he said, let's go. I'll drive you to the hospital. At first, Lily hesitated. I can't afford another medical bill, she whispered, holding Emma close. Don't worry about that, Keanu said firmly. Right now, we just need to make sure she's okay. The hospital visit was a whirlwind of emotions. As they waited for the doctor, Lily sat in the corner of the room, rocking Emma and whispering soothing words to her. Keanu stayed by her side, offering silent support. When the doctor finally emerged, they were told that Emma had an ear infection, something treatable but painful. With the right medication, she would recover soon. Lily let out a sigh of relief, her entire body sagging under the weight of her worry. On the drive home, Lily spoke softly, her voice tinged with guilt. Thank you, Keanu. I don't know how I would have handled this without you. You don't have to handle everything alone, Lily, he replied gently. You've been carrying so much by yourself for so long. It's okay to lean on someone. Lily looked at him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I'm just not used to it. After Mark died, I didn't have anyone. It's hard to trust that people really care. Keanu nodded, understanding her hesitation. I get that. But trust me, you and Emma matter. And I'm here, no strings attached. For the first time, Lily allowed herself to believe those words. The next few weeks brought a sense of rhythm and companionship that neither Keanu nor Lily had experienced in a long time. Keanu would stop by to help with groceries, babysit Emma while Lily studied, or simply share a meal and conversation. Slowly, the lines between friendship and family began to blur. One evening, as they sat together on the couch after putting Emma to bed, Lily turned to Keanu with a thoughtful expression. You've done so much for us, she said. But why? You barely know me. Keanu took a deep breath, his eyes softening. Because I know what it feels like to be lost. To feel like the world is too heavy to carry alone. And I know how much it means when someone reaches out and says, you don't have to do this by yourself. Lily's gaze dropped to her hands. It's just hard to believe people like you exist. You don't want anything in return. Keanu chuckled softly. Lily, the only thing I want is to see you and Emma happy. That's enough for me. For the first time, Lily allowed herself to relax completely in his presence. She realized that Keanu wasn't just helping her survive, he was teaching her to live again. Encouraged by Keanu's unwavering support, Lily started taking small but meaningful steps toward rebuilding her life. She enrolled in an online program to finish her degree, using the laptop Keanu had gifted her. Though the coursework was challenging, the thought of creating a better future for Emma kept her motivated. Keanu became her biggest cheerleader, celebrating every milestone, no matter how small. When she aced her first assignment, he brought over a cake, much to Lily's amusement. "It's just one test," she said, laughing as he lit a single candle. "Every step counts," Keanu replied with a grin. Lily couldn't remember the last time she had laughed so freely. One evening, as they prepared dinner together, Emma toddled into the kitchen and clung to Keanu's leg, babbling happily. He picked her up, his face lighting up with a smile. "She's so attached to you," Lily said, watching the two of them with a warmth in her heart she hadn't felt in years. "Well, she's hard to resist," Keanu said, tickling Emma until she burst into giggles. For a moment, the three of them felt like a family. It was a feeling Lily hadn't thought she'd ever experience again, a sense of belonging, of safety. As they sat down to eat, Lily glanced at Keanu, her voice soft. "You've given us more than I could ever thank you for. You've made me believe in people again." Keanu smiled, his own voice tinged with emotion. "And you've reminded me what it means to care for someone. You and Emma have brought so much into my life too." The unspoken bond between them grew stronger that night, rooted in trust, kindness, and a shared hope for brighter days ahead. Months passed, and the once overwhelming struggles of Lily's life began to feel more manageable. With Keanu by her side, she had found the strength to dream again. Emma, now walking and babbling in her tiny voice, was thriving in the warmth of their little world. The love and care Keanu brought into their lives had transformed them in ways Lily hadn't thought possible. One crisp autumn evening, Keanu arrived at Lily's apartment with a surprise. He carried a large envelope, his expression a mix of excitement and nervousness. "What's that?" Lily asked as she let him in, balancing Emma on her hip. "You'll see," Keanu replied, handing her the envelope. Lily opened it carefully, her eyes widening as she pulled out the contents. Inside was a letter confirming her enrollment in a nearby college, along with a scholarship application Keanu had secretly submitted on her behalf. "Keanu, this is," Lily's voice broke, and she covered her mouth with her hand, overwhelmed by emotion. "You deserve this, Lily," Keanu said gently. "You've worked so hard, and it's time the world recognizes that. This is your chance to finish your degree and create the future you've always dreamed of, for you and Emma." Tears spilled down Lily's cheeks as she hugged him tightly. For the first time in years, she felt like her life was truly heading in a new direction, one filled with hope and possibility. A few weeks later, Keanu invited Lily and Emma to his home for dinner. Though she was hesitant at first, unsure of what to expect, Lily finally agreed. When they arrived, she was taken aback by the warmth of Keanu's home. It wasn't the grandeur that surprised her, but the simplicity. The space felt lived in, cozy, and welcoming. As they sat around the table, sharing stories and laughter, Lily realized just how much her life had changed since meeting Keanu. She saw in him not just a friend, but someone who had become an integral part of her and Emma's world. After dinner, Keanu brought out a small cake with the words, "To New Beginnings," written in icing. "This is for you, Lily," he said, his voice filled with pride. "You've come so far, and I know you're going to do amazing things." Lily smiled through her tears, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. For so long, she had carried her struggles alone. Now, she had someone who believed in her, who celebrated her victories and stood by her in her darkest moments. In the months that followed, Lily juggled her classes, work, and motherhood with a renewed sense of purpose. Keanu continued to be a steady presence, helping with Emma and offering encouragement whenever she needed it. Their bond deepened as they shared more of their lives with each other. Keanu opened up about his own past, his struggles with loss and loneliness, and the joy he found in helping others. Lily, in turn, shared her dreams and fears, trusting him in a way she hadn't trusted anyone in years. One evening, as they walked through a park with Emma toddling ahead of them, Lily turned to Keanu. "You've done so much for us," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I don't even know how to thank you." Keanu stopped and looked at her, his eyes warm. "You already have, Lily. Watching you succeed, seeing Emma happy, that's all the thanks I'll ever need." Lily smiled, her heart full. For the first time in years, she felt like she was no longer just surviving, she was truly living. A year later, Lily graduated with her teaching degree. Keanu and Emma were there to cheer her on, their faces beaming with pride as she walked across the stage. As the ceremony ended, Keanu handed her a bouquet of lilies. "For everything you've overcome," he said, his voice soft. Lily looked at him, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without you, Keanu. You've changed our lives." He smiled, his own eyes misty. "And you've changed mine. You and Emma have given me a reason to believe in the power of connection, in the beauty of helping each other." As they stood together, watching Emma play in the grass, Lily felt an overwhelming sense of contentment. She knew their journey wasn't over, but with Keanu by her side, she was ready to face whatever came next. Years later, Lily stood in her classroom, watching her students work on their assignments. She had achieved her dream of becoming a teacher, and every day, she poured her heart into inspiring the young minds before her. At home, Emma was thriving, a bright and curious child who adored her Uncle Keanu. Their bond was unbreakable, a testament to the kindness and love he had shown them from the very beginning. As for Keanu, he continued to be a part of their lives, a constant source of support and joy. Together, they had created a new kind of family, one built not on blood, but on love, trust, and the shared belief that even in the darkest times, kindness could light the way.